Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Maybe It's Spiritual. For those of you who are listening, Spotify, Apple listeners, please hit the 5-star. Leave us a review. Tell us how we're doing. We are on Instagram, Maybe It's Spiritual. We have a TikTok, Maybe It's Spiritual. We have a Gmail if you want to share one of your stories, maybe it's spiritual@gmail.com. And our newer thing, we have a YouTube, Maybe It's Spiritual as well. So everything's just Maybe It's Spiritual. Thank you for listening. And we are here with our special guest, Adam.
Hello. And so I'd gotten home from youth group, really just charged up with, that spiritual energy. And, I got done watching TV. I'm going to bed for the night. Everybody's asleep. And I go to turn everything off, and I hear this sound behind me. And I can distinctively remember it as hearing it as a sound that was behind me, but it also felt like it was in my ear. Like it felt like it was in my head and I could hear it at the same time. And it was this growling noise that didn't sound like anything I've ever heard before or since, that moved me in such a way that I can close my eyes and I still see myself in my mom's living room, and I can still feel how I felt in that moment, just that primal, that fight or flight, like that what the hell is happening right now kind of noise. And I've never been able to describe it to someone, but it sounded very distorted in a way too, kind of like how you hear a McDonald's speaker that's blown out.
Yeah, that's a Skinwalker trait.
Yeah, and so it was this growling that seemed to get louder and louder and louder, but there was breaths in between, where it was almost just this anguish screaming, this just primal, violent feeling, angry scream. And I can specifically remember turning my head around like this, and then finally getting in that I'm gonna hit whatever's behind me stance, and turning around and just stopped.
Oh,
it
horrifying.
Was so loud that it was almost unbearable. It felt like my head was going to explode, and it just stopped when I turned around all of a sudden. And so I would say that was probably in 2004, 5, somewhere around there. And then in 2013, I can remember, is when YouTube started popping off really hard as this platform for more than just uploading your vacation videos.
Right.
It suddenly became this entertainment platform. And, people started putting out these old ghost videos and everything they had on the internet. And so I have it pulled up here. This is from 15 years ago in ancient YouTube culture. Actual ghost demon sound recording, warning, disturbing.
Put it up to the mic.
These sounds were recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 10/2/07.
Oh.
So it also kind of resonates around the time when I experienced it.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking, the homeowner complained of noises coming from the basement in the middle of the night. A digital audio recorder was placed in the basement to record any sounds. After 3 days of no suspicious audio, we recorded something interesting. The audio was amplified 20 times. Nothing else was done to the audio. And that was recorded at 3:12 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
No other significant sounds were heard on the digital audio recording set in the basement. The source of the noise is unclear. Case unsolved. And that was just something I came across in random internet YouTube culture, just looking for freaky videos.
And that's what you heard?
It put me right back in that moment. I can't say it sounded exactly picture that if you heard it in a super distorted way. When you listen to certain hardcore bands and stuff like that, there's almost that distortion because they are so loud in the microphone. It's like that. It's whatever was making that sound and communicating it to me had such a powerful force behind this anguish and this scream that it was distorting whatever it was doing to make me hear it.
In this realm, it can't even contain what was being
the rage and just the whatever evilness that it wasn't able to be contained.
You're getting a filtered version almost.
And that's definitely synonymous with Skinwalker.
Right.
Hardcore.
And so in my mind, I had a buddy describe me one time as very monk-like, in the sense that I don't really put a lot of super heavy thoughts into things unless I really think about it. Most of the time I'm walking around in a very meditative state.
Where your tongue is?
Sort of, yeah. I'm always very aware of where my tongue and teeth are,
Wait, did you say your friends don't think that you put super deep thought into things.
Well, they in a
They
way
talk to
Because
you.
no one who's heard this podcast believes that.
Well, in a way that's like if I'm just walking about my day, you know, like I'm in a very deep meditative place. Like I'm not thinking like, oh, I can't wait to have the tuna sandwich I brought for lunch. Oh, I hope my dad's doing okay. Like I'm thinking like the stuff we're talking about, you know, like I'm in this very deep meditative state, and I think that makes me very open and vulnerable to these type of energies, you know. So I definitely think as like a young man who was dabbling in these dark arts, that was something that he should have been warned about, or at least have some type of spiritual mentor with. You know, I'm delving into it with no protection, like we talked about, with no guard, no
Well,
guide.
yeah, and you've got like a family member with like Native American like interests, and you're listening to music that like
Well, and she
chants.
and she always claimed that our family was part Native American, but it's one of those things where every white person claims that they're Native American at some point. Oh, I'm a 64th Choctaw. It's like, okay, I don't think that allows you onto the reservations or anything, but like good for
Yeah.
you, you know.
No casino for you.
Right, but at the same time, it's like we talked about how, you know, things that happen spiritually in your bloodline can affect you even later on. So picture if you had a Native American, you know, relative that you're a 64th or 120th of, but they practice these skinwalker dark arts, you know, how could that still affect you in your current stage?
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
that is. I only had one person tell me about a real Skinwalker experience, and then he never came on the podcast. I never saw him again, but it's horrifying. But it sounds the
Right.
distorted noise, like the animalistic noise that you heard, but they're all predators because that's also synonymous. With
Well,
it.
they're
predatory animals.
Well, and that's the thing of wanting to become a skinwalker is you want to become a predatory creature. You don't do
Right.
it to benefit your loved ones. You do it to become a very dark and evil, powerful being for yourself. You
That's
know, it's,
horrible, dude.
it's very self-serving. You know, it opposes God in such a way because it denies the idea of something larger. It makes you the largest thing that there is in your own world. You know, it's
Well,
idolatry of the self.